is now known as Gregory's Town, Freetown, as I told you before, Deep Creek, Wims's Pipe, and Miller's. Now, the funny thing is, Wims's Pipe and Miller's aren't too far from one another. In fact, they kind of border one another. But the way that the former masters donated the land to the people were two different ways. And I'll get into that a little later. What were the first two resettlement villages surveyed and identified in the northern Bahamas? The first two were Karen Crow, which was later named McLean's Town, Grand Bahama, and Grand Turtle Key, Abaco. In Grand Turtle Key, Abaco, 39 heads of applications for those plots of land in the resettlement village. Now, why McLean's Town? Because apparently one of the justices was named McLean and he died, and I guess sometime after they made a vote to him, McLean's Town. Other in the northern Bahamas, Victoria and Williamstown on Stirrup Key in the very islands. Rhoda Rock, which was really an extension settlement of Holmes Rock. Not knows that Lowell was the largest slave owner in the Bahamas. But most people don't know he was also the largest slave owner in Grand Bahama. When he forced 20 slaves from Steventon, Exuma to Holmes Rock, Grand Bahama, he became the largest slave owner on Grand Bahama. And by natural increase and moving one family more to Nassau and one back, there were 30 by the end of the slave registers of the 135 that were on Grand Bahama. And we have Freetown in Grand Bahama that came a little bit later. In fact, the grants came a little bit later. Now, the people may have been living there ahead of time, but the grants of land didn't come until 1855. And the Port Authority kind of wholesale moved the whole village some 10, 20 miles east in the mid-60s. Bimini, Red Bays, and Andros. Most people realize that Red Bays and Andros was the home of those Indian or who were associated with the Seminoles out of Seminole Indians, right? Some of them were mixed, but they actually sold land as resettlement lots after these people were already there in Red Bays. Most people don't pick up on that. I didn't until I kind of started looking at some of the other records that, I mean, you're kind of in the archives. I'm in there from 10 to 4 whenever I come down, because I only have about a week 3 times a year. And, you don't know what you're looking for sometimes, because sometimes you hit, sometimes you miss. But after a while, you get something. And there was Victoria Ridge in South Bimini, and Alistown and Baileytown were actually the last of the resettlement villages in the northern Bahamas. But they didn't like being on South Bimini because they couldn't see the shipwrecks and the lanes where the ships would go to be shipwrecked. People moved to Alistown and Baileytown on north. South Bimini has more land. North Bimini. South Bimini has more land. Yeah, but this process took about 40 years, really and truthfully. In fact, after the special justices, when they had what they call police magistrates, still dealing with some of the matters. And I have a feeling that some of the land grants probably didn't happen until after that. Remember now, liberated Africans came to the shores of the Bahamas up until 1860. They still had to put it, even though slavery was long gone, they still had to find a place for those who they landed in the Bahamas as liberated Africans. Now, if you look right here, these are the ruins of the Baptist Church in McLean's Town, Bahamas. It was just a small, about 24 by 20 building, but it's not where the church is today. You have to kind of wander through the bush to find this. And basically, The slaves in the Bahamas were emancipated 1st of August 1834. They were apprenticed for up to 3 years. Jamestown was surveyed in 1835 at the same time as Great Turkey and Abaco. The settlements were based on crown land. Fresh was it crown land? This is the ones that the special justices were in charge of. Was there fresh water there? Was there a protected harbor? Remember there were no cars, no bicycles back then. Did the land have an ability to yield crops? And was the land swamp free, even if they had to fill it in as like corn in Nassau? So in McLeanstown, you pass swamp, but then you get on some higher land that you have for crops. And the advertisements for sale went out in November 2nd, 1835 in the Royal Gazette. The lots went on sale the 1st of December in most places, 1835. Now, what kind of boundaries they had with the lot? This went up and down through the years. Initially, they started out that the lots would be no more than a quarter of an acre, just over 100 foot square, for the building of homes in the townships. Townships, so it would be easier to service people and shops and churches and all of that could be built, because a lot of these people were scattered all over the place. And they look for the townships to kind of bring a nucleus of people into each of the places. The terms of sale, the grounds could have been outside townships and you can walk to your farm, and they were no more than 5 acres. The terms of sale was payment in money or labor at 2 shillings current state. In other words, your labor was valued 2 shillings a day. So if the whole thing cost, say, 5, 6 shillings, I think I worked about 8 shillings for 1 town lot on a parcel. 5 acres of farm. So that would have been 4 days' work on the roads of the township, etc. And the places for public use wanted to get that. Now, despite it being, say, only 4 days' work, a lot of people said, hey, we done here, we done dealing with something. So, and a lot of them, they had come spend the money, and then others, they had problems even though they said, okay, this is the area for the township. They had problems getting a surveyor out of Nassau because the surveyor wasn't paid at the time. So it started off with a lot of growing pains. Now the money could be paid in 4 quarterly installments, the first installment on possession being given. If you didn't, they could take it from you. Okay? So would be allowed to give labor, which is in my labor, be allowed to give the labor beforehand, and it would be set off against the price of the lots. All lots not paid for will be resold, forfeiting any payments. So those were the first, right? Then the guys in England sent out a notice that, hey, look, through all of the Caribbean, we want those lots to be no less than 20 acres, a shillings an acre. Who's going to come up with that kind of money in the Bahamas, first of all, who's farming at that extent in the Bahamas? Eventually, some people did have the means to buy them. I mean, you had a guy like Prince Blair who bought 100 acres after buying the freedom of himself and his 2 sons. Well, he bought the freedom in Nassau, but bought the land in Grand Bahama. So some slaves got the means. Or some freed slaves got the means even before emancipation took place. Now, on Grand Bahama, there were settlements. Some settlers were on previously granted land. We're talking about Langtown, the Bight, which is in West End, Williamstown, Hunters, Lewis Yard, Southwest Point, or Pittance Point. All this land was owned by people privately before emancipation, but the private owners